Welcome, everyone. I'm Todd Wool with Premier Estates International. And here we are in our fourth in a series of our Premier Estates WorldBid auction platform and how auctions work, how Premier Estates WorldBid auction platform works for you as agents, brokers, and your clients, sellers, property owners. And we're going to speak today on two case studies. And we're going to follow the case study from start to finish so all of our viewers can, at the end of this presentation, have a full understanding of what we do, why we do it, how we do it, and why our 25 years of auction expertise has brought us to these two case studies that we believe are just good examples of the results of our WorldBid auction platform. Joining me is David Jaffe and Connor Wool, both on our auction team. And we're going to speak first about a property that you see on your screen, which was a property we sold just about a year ago in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And this was a property that was brought to us by a agent at Compass in Jackson Hole. And the quick story is the property had been on the market, I believe, for approximately a year. The starting bid, the original list price from recollection was in the high $20 million range. The property had a number of price reductions. As it was in Jackson Hole, the sellers of the property decided that they weren't going to be using it as much as they had hoped, had decided to move to another state actually, and wanted to see date certainty when the property was going to be sold. So the agent at Compass contacted us, and we had our initial conversations with the sellers. And ultimately, they were very impressed with our WorldBid auction platform, global bespoke marketing, and how we would be marketing, and then specifically the actual bidding process. So the listing was became a joint listing, but between Premier Estates International and Compass and the local Jackson Hole agent. And from that point, all of our marketing converted to our WorldBid auction platform, all the information on the multiple listing service, our international exposure that we created, our listings on our website and other real estate websites that the local agent in Jackson did not have access to. All of this was created for exposure, global exposure for the auction. So, with that, David, why don't you talk through kind of the timeline of the process of our WorldBid platform for this sale?
Sure, happy to do it. So in this sale, once the once we get all the marketing done and we go live, call it going live, we had 40 days of marketing in which on the 40th day was the last day to do a pre-auction offer. And I believe we've spoken about pre-auction offers before, Todd.
Well, why don't you
Um,
just walk through our viewers what that really means in the timeline, David?
so in this case, we actually had an incentive as well if the pre-auction offer was accepted. So in a pre-auction offer, a buyer can write on your normal real estate contract. They don't have to use our auction contract because they can have contingencies in a pre-auction offer, but they just have to release them by a certain date. The dates are all specific to the auction, obviously. So
Right.
in this case, during that time period, we actually did get pre-auction offers, Todd, but unfortunately, none of them were accepted. So we went to auction. So the bids were due, I believe, 14 days after that date, when the pre-auction offers were due, and we got multiple offers, multiple bidding in the first round.
So,
And then,
David, but yeah, I think just talk to the viewers because viewers have a different, everybody's got a different perception of how an auction runs. What is an auction? What is it like? What do they do? Um, and I think I should mention that because we work with different types of sellers and different types of properties, whether they're $500,000 condominiums or $50 million estates. We use multiple bidding platforms that are tailored to the buyer pool and tailored to the property type. And that what that means is some of we have our proprietary online bidding platform, which we call WorldBid, which would look similar to eBay style of bidding. We also do um, auctions live at the property. We might do them in conjunction with telephonically, and then we also do auctions via Zoom as well. So there's different types of bidding platforms, again, that we tailor to the property type in the buyer pool. In this
Well,
case, yes,
in this, let me just, in this case, we were doing a sealed bid auction. So
correct.
people could bid. They didn't have to, we weren't doing it live. You could bid from anywhere. Um, and the top 50% would move on to the second round. So in this case, obviously bidders don't know what other bidders are bidding. So in the second round, we ended up the high bid, which was accepted by the seller, turned out to be $2.5 million above the next highest bid. So had Todd and I done a live auction, we'd probably be leaving two and a half, $2.5 million on the table for the seller.
So to just be a little more granular for our viewers, the qualifying round bid, the bidding timeline after day 40 for that pre-auction timeline, which allowed bidders to submit a pre-auction offer on a standard Association of Realtors purchase contract with any contingency they want. But by day 40, they either had to remove their contingencies and their deposit becomes a non-refundable or close escrow, right, David?
That's correct.
Okay. Then from day 41 to day 50, qualifying round bids were to be submitted on Premier Estates' proprietary sealed bid auction contract, right, David?
Yes, Todd,
Right.
and with no contingency. So that's the difference.
That's complete. That's right. And of course, the bidders submit their proof of funds and even a lender approval letter if they intend to get a loan. And yes, they can get a loan with their auction bid, but it is non-contingent.
So, and to talk about our marketing, and in this case, the buyer actually came from out of state, actually from Florida. It's just a testament to our global bespoke marketing campaigns.
And if I
Right.
could chime in as well here, gentlemen, besides for the date certainty that our WorldBid auction platform provided for this seller and this property, what other characteristics did you feel made this property a fit and aligned with our WorldBid auction platform?
Well, that's a good question. I'll answer that in 1 second. I just want to make sure our viewers understand the bidding procedures. So once we obtained the qualifying round bids, as David stated, there were, I believe, four bidders that were qualified and submitted their qualifying round bid. Final round bids, once they were invited to submit their final round bid, which was due the next business day, and those were only to bidders who were invited. And the qualifier for that invitation was to be within the top 50% by price of all the bids received. And those bidders were then invited to submit their final round bid. And that next day, we received the four final round bids. And David, again, to repeat, what happened on the final round bidding?
Well, we had what we would call an outlier. So we had the four bids, right? The high bid, and then there were the three lower bids, but the spread between the delta between the next highest bid and the high bid was $2.5 million.
So, what you're hearing is, again, it's the outlier was that final bidder, and that final bidder, as you could say, bid against him or herself. They wanted the property, and because we used our two-round bidding process, we were able to extract the highest and best price from that bidder. And then subsequent to that, the buyer closed. I'd say within 20 days of the auction date, the listing agent, they were paid their commission, the buyer's agent was paid their commission, and Premier Estates was compensated through the buyer's premium, which was paid by the buyer. And now going to your question, Connor, why did the agent at Compass elect to use our WorldBid platform and why did the seller do so? Well, I can tell you that there was a number of factors. First, the property had been on the market for an extended period of time. There were buyers that were circling, but there wasn't an offer that had been submitted that was acceptable to the seller. And there had been offers submitted prior to us, Premier Estates, being involved with the list with the sale of the property. But the seller elected and felt that our WorldBid auction platform was going to create the competition and the frenzy ultimately to make the parties that were sitting on the sidelines and the party that had submitted an offer and make them compete and get the sale done within that 40-day timeline. The listing agent engaged with us versus other auction companies, as an example, because of our cost-effective fee structure. I believe the buyer's premium was 3%, I believe, and the seller did not pay any uh, marketing costs, advertising costs. There were no expenses borne by the listing agent, no expenses charged by Premier Estates to the seller whatsoever. And they were very pleased with the cost-effective structure of our auction platform. But also, they really felt our two-round bidding process was going to achieve what they needed, that they felt was to capture the highest and best price. And yes, they were right. So the results were fantastic. And in a period of less than 60 days, the property was sold and the sellers achieved their goal, as did the listing agent. David, anything else you want to add for our
No, I
viewers?
think we've covered it. I think we're
Okay.
good.
So now we're going to talk about a another property as an example. So hold on, our viewers, and we will bring it up right now. So here's our second case study for our viewers. And for our viewers, have you ever seen a property owned by a real James Bond? Yes, that is right. This ranch property was owned by George Lazenby, who's one of the second James Bond actor in the early 70s. And he bought this just to have a ranch outside of the hustle and bustle in the Los Angeles market. Um, for those of you who know Southern California, this is a short drive from Santa Clarita, California, which was just outside of the San Fernando Valley. So, Connor, with that, why don't you tell our viewers how this auction worked and the results of it?
So, Todd, I will say this was one of the most exciting sales that I had to work on or had the opportunity to work on in 2024 on our WorldBid auction team. So, what you're seeing here, of course, as Todd mentioned, is a beautiful ranch property in the Santa Clarita area of Southern California. But what he failed to say is it is about 470 acres. So,
Yeah.
the combination of the acreage and size of this property with the value proposition that it offered and the size of it all combined together, in addition to the market conditions, this was really a perfect, I would say, alignment for our WorldBid auction platform. And so when one of the local agents in that submarket came to us and decided that, hey, the WorldBid auction platform might be a good approach for the client and the sale process, we started to do our due diligence. Once they came to us and really decided, hey, we want to move forward with the auction process, we converted all of the traditional materials for the traditional brokered sale to the auction process. From there, we were able to
Hold
run
on,
as,
Connor.
yeah,
You know what? Um,
what?
Hold on. Um, one second. So here is our second case study. This is was very exciting for our company. Have any of you ever known a real James Bond actor? Well, we do. And this ranch estate was owned by George Lazenby, who is the second James Bond actor, one of actually my favorites. And this property is located just outside of Los Angeles. Mr. Lazenby purchased it to have his own retreat uh, outside of the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles. And we were fortunate enough to be engaged by his attorney to represent the sale of the property at auction. So, Connor, why don't you take it from here and tell our viewers about this auction?
Sure, Todd. So I'll start out by saying this was, I would say, one of our most exciting sales that I was able to work on and be a part of for in the year 2024. So this property came to us from an attorney of Mr. Lazenby, and essentially what Todd mentioned were the basic details of the property. But what I want to mention is that the property was about 470 acres. So the size of the property, in addition to its proposed value and the purposes that it was designed for, made it quite a unique property and sale. And that's why they turned to us for our WorldBid auction process. Now, when we converted this to an auction, what we did was we first created all the brochures, the marketing materials, and really prepped it to bring to market to an international audience. There was absolutely no cost to the attorney client, of course, and this was all handled in house at Premier Estates. Once all of the marketing materials were ready, we really began our marketing campaign. Now, this was composed of a couple different avenues and audiences. The first, of course, was social media because of the huge presence that George Lazenby has, and James Bond, of course, has with a younger audience per se as well. So that on the social media side was really critical, but what we also did was direct calling. This, as I said, was a very unique high end property in the market and had a lot of different purposes and potential use cases. So, what we really did is went out and I completed in this sale in about a month timeline close to 350 direct calls to agents in the Los Angeles, San Francisco, Bakersfield, Tehachapi, and larger Central Valley of California. We really hit all the major markets and their agents to let them know about this sale. From there, we received a couple auction bids throughout the auction cycle, and we ultimately sold this property for a price that was very, very positive for the state and Mr. Lazenby.
Great, thank you, Connor. And the again, why did the attorney and Mr. Lazenby want to use our WorldBid auction platform? This sale to them was important to have it sold by a specific date. The value of the property itself was quite difficult to determine, and that's important for our viewers. Sometimes it is very, very challenging to comp a property, right? What are the active listings like? What are the solds like? And there may not be a property that's exactly like the property you want us to auction. So not having comparables that were really within range of this property was another reason the sellers decided to use Premier Estates and our WorldBid auction platform. And then I would say third, the date certainty again, and fourth, the competition that we created with all the bidders. And the bidders competed, and market value was generated. And it was done so the sale was done in a little over 60 days. Connor, anything else you want to add real quickly for our viewers before we sign off?
Thing I want to say, this was really an idyllic property. It was very, very stunning to just look out and on the perch views of all the mountains, and really a great sale. And our marketing materials really focused on highlighting those aspects of the property.
Right, and again, as Connor said, we were able to use Mr. Lazenby and his likeness and James Bond in the marketing as much as we were able to. And that really did help the interest in the property. So that's our second case study today. And with that, this is the end of our fourth series for the Premier Estates agent platform. Excuse me, fourth in our series of our videos for agents. And for any of you interested, please reach out to premierestates.com for information on our WorldBid auction platforms. And we look forward to working with you in the future. And thank you, David, and thank you, Connor, for participating today. And with that, we are going to sign off. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
You.
everybody.
Bye bye.